projects that I have to do that I'm thinking about. I mean, I have to go down into my crawl space like at least every other day right now. But I did build the access to it was very loosely put together. They had just a piece of tin covering the top of it. So I built, for the winter time, I built this huge, heavy, like slanted roof to put on top of the crawl space entrance, which is just a square cinder block entrance that you have to crawl up on and under and get in. So with this heavy roof top thing, it was just such a pain. I mean, this thing was like lifting a human body to pick it up, to move it, and I was trying to do that by myself, and it was just impractical, I realized. I mean, it was great for the wintertime, kept the crawl space insulated from that access point, and I didn't have problems with it being too cold down there, but it's just impractical for the summer. So I've got a dehumidifier down there. I have to go down and just empty the water every other day because there's not proper ventilation. I'm not sure how to do that yet. I need to start working on getting it properly ventilated, so I don't have to go down there all the time, because that should take care of the humidity. But at this point, just to make sure that humidity stays below 55%, I need to be down there every other day, emptying out the dehumidifier. You know, it's such a pain because I have to crawl up in this tiny little hole out of the crawl space and try to balance myself with a bucket of water. It's just impractical right now, but that's what I have to do, because if you let the humidity go too long in your crawl space, it can create mold, it can create problems in your floor. So I really want to make sure I'm on top of that, and just prevent a major issue in the future. I would love to figure out a way to run that humidifier full time with kind of a custom drain system that drains it to a sub pump that pushes the water out. I think that would be a cool thing, and then I would never have to go down there, because that humidifier would just run non-stop and drain into that sub pump and push the water out. And then I would just have to go down there once in a while. So one thing I have to do also in the crawl space is I have a camera set up, a Blink camera with my security system, and I use that to monitor the temperature and the humidity. And so every once in a while I'll check it. Actually it's been almost daily I check it now. And it's a night camera, so even though it's pitch black in there, I can look in there and I can read this big round dial thermometer that I have with a humidifier combination, and so I can see every time it goes over 55%, I'm supposed to go down there and drain the humidifier, to keep up with it, because you want it to be below 55, ideally below 50%. I mean, I would love if it was dry enough down there that it was 30% humidity, because that would really, I don't know, I would be super comfortable with that, as far as just knowing that there's not that chance of mold buildup, But anyway, I got to set up that camera in a way that I can monitor the humidifier as well, and that way I can see when it fills up and just kind of keep track on how often it does. Because if it fills up once a day, which is what my fear is, that means I have to access that crawl space daily, and that's just a pain in the ass. But if I have to do it, I have to do it. I just have to figure out a way to make that entrance a little more just easier to maneuver. I mean, it's not comfortable right now how I currently have to do it. So other projects I need to do around the house. So at the shop, like I said, I need to put the siding up inside, so I need to finish that. I really need to organize, but I have so many little projects too. So I have in my sunroom and the mudroom, like the mudroom with the big window sill, on the outside I need to do a slanted little lip so that the rain, when it hits the window, doesn't go down into the side of the house and rot that wood. So that's a project I have to do, and I need to get it done this summer. Just keeping up with the yard and mowing and hunting for cactus. I have tons of cactus in my yard. Hunting for all the sandburs, and then figure out how exactly I want to, do I want to do grass? Do I want to, do like I don't know, rock, mulch? Like, obviously I'd like to have a decent yard when I fence in the yard, but and get all the sandburs out of there so I can walk into it barefoot. But I also don't want to have to keep up with grass and mow it all the time. So I don't know. I'm going to be very creative, I think, with the yard. I always have wanted to be. I've always wanted to do a fenced-in yard. I've got a huge property to fence it in, where I can then start building things. Like, I'd love to build a gazebo, and a nice fire pit, like a subterranean fire pit, like not too far down, but like, I don't know, 3 feet into the ground, where the fire pit's way down, and it's a safe fire pit. Just a cool place to hang out, stare at the stars. I mean, it would be amazing. Just kind of keeping up with the vegetation that I have. I really, want to lean towards fruit trees and berry plants, but then I also want to put in a garden, so that's going to be a whole other project. It's going to take up a big chunk of yard, which I'm excited about. That's going to be an exciting project. So yeah, just a lot of exciting things as far as, my thought process and my, just my creative process on how I want this house setup to be. Just really want it to be like a somewhat self-sustaining place. I mean, I'd love to have chickens and build a chicken coop and build it so that the chickens could go and run in the garden and clean up the insects and all that. I mean, just have a lot of ideas where the chicken coop will be connected to the garden in a way. But I don't know. It's a lot of the wheels are churning. Let's just say the wheels are churning. It's exciting to think about everything that I can do, and really I just have so many ideas, and that's why I wanted to do this something. I mean, I felt like I was killing myself at home by just not having a plan, not putting a plan together, not organizing my thoughts and really focusing on different projects, and I just felt sloppy, and I was letting my shop go. It's a mess in there. I should have finished some of these projects that I've started in there a long time ago, but I've just lost some motivation, and I think it's because I really haven't focused on myself the way I needed to, focus on my goals as like I needed to. I've really just, I think, let the stress of work and of life really just get to me and bring me down, and because of that I've had a lot of apathy, and I want to switch that around. I want to change my life. I want to be better. I want to feel like I've accomplished something every day, and I want to just enjoy it. I want to enjoy life and enjoy the process of just bringing order to my chaos, because my life is chaos a lot of times, and work is part of that. Stress of work is part of that. Stress of life, of relationships, just of everything, and it's hard to really, when you have all of that going on in your mind, to just shut off all of that outside noise and focus on yourself, and focus on the person you want to be. What are your goals? How can you improve yourself? And how can you be better? How can you educate yourself? In areas that really interest you. I love to cook. Like, how can I really expand my culinary skills? How can I use that to prep and save money and really look for creative ways for income? But for the most part, just focus on every day I can make my life situation better by doing just little things, and really concentrating on that and making a plan, making a list of everything I want to accomplish, and just my vision. And that's kind of what this whole series is about. just really focusing on specific tasks. So I think as I am driving home, I drive 40 miles home, I'm going to do little blurbs of this to listen to again myself, and even post privately on my YouTube channel, just as a record of my progress. So yeah, this is my journey. This is day one of my productivity experiment. 2 hours straight, as soon as I get home, 2 hours straight, setting that timer for 15 minutes. As soon as that timer goes off, going and doing a workout. As soon as I'm done with the workout, 15-minute timer, go do a project. And it's gonna be awesome. And then I who knows, I might even discuss how, what I got accomplished. So in this podcast, or I might just write it down. I might start a blog. I don't know, but I need to really concentrate on, one place of improvement for me is just being able to verbally articulate, my story, who I am, what I'm trying to accomplish in life, and do that for me, because that makes me more verbally intelligent. That helps me with my communication skills, and that just helps me be a better person. And when you can communicate properly, you don't get so frustrated with people being unable to understand what it is you're trying to tell them. When you can communicate clearly to someone and what your goals are, what you're trying to do, tell a great story, like it boosts your life, because it enhances those little life experiences that you have. So yeah, that's just what I thought about today. If you're listening to this and you made it to the end, thank you. You're a rock star. Yeah, until next time.